So let's go ahead and have a seat. We'll get centered in and take a moment to just check in with our bodies, see how we're doing after the weekend. So find your nice straight spine in a seated posture. Let your shoulders relax, let your jaw relax. If you're comfortable with it, let your eyes close. Take a deep breath in through your nose. And a big exhale through your mouth. Take the opportunity to feel into your body, noticing how everything feels. And then start breathing a nice slow Ujjayi breath. Now that the central nervous system is powered down and you're beautifully tuned in, notice the speed and quality of your thoughts. Notice your emotions, notice your energy. Palms together in front of the heart to set your personal intention for your practice. And then when you're clear on that, take an extra deep inhale. Big exhale through the mouth. We're going to start seated. So your hands can either be on the knees or thighs, or you're welcome to tuck them underneath the thighs if your legs are extended. It's just a seated cat-cow, but you don't want your head to whip back and forth. I'd like you to keep your chin parallel to the floor. So you're just going to slowly inhale, press the chest forward. Exhale, pull the chest back, kind of like a seated cat-cow. Inhale, sternum forward. Exhale, sternum back. Let's do this a few more times. One more good inhale and exhale. And then we're going to transition onto hands and knees for kneeling cat-cow. This time your head does follow the rest of the spine. So as you inhale, head and tailbone come up. As you exhale, head and tailbone drop down. Do that one more time. And then from here, we're going to let the big toes touch, but separate the knees. We're going to move into an extended child's pose. So your arms are going to stay in front of you. Backside nestles down onto the heels, forehead hits the ground. Take a couple of breaths. And then go ahead and just scoot into Sphinx from here. So big toes are touching, heels are separated, heart is pulling forward, shoulders are pulling down and back. And then downward facing dog. Just take a couple of breaths, doing any little movements you might need. And then find your stillness in the pose, really lengthening the spine as much as you can. And then just slowly walk your feet forward. Keep your knees bent. Relax your neck, hang and ragdoll for a couple of breaths. And then on your next inhale, you're going to come all the way up, reach the arms up and overhead, spread the fingers, lift the heart, look up. On your next exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So just taking a moment to really root and ground through the soles of the feet. Feel your palms together in front of your heart, honoring your heart that we're going to open. Take a big inhale, reach the arms up. As you exhale, fold forward. And I want you to hold your forward bend for a moment. So really kind of focusing on the forward bend, allowing the pelvis to tilt forward and relaxing the neck. I want you to try and get the front part of your hip bones to the top of the thighs. So when we open the heart, we have to make sure that we have a solid foundation in the lower three energy centers. And so we want to kind of focus on that as well. And interestingly enough, those are the beautiful counter poses to our heart openers. So just taking a moment to feel your tailbone poking towards the ceiling, front of the hip bones, trying to connect to the top of the thighs. And then we're going to keep at least fingertips on the ground. Knees can bend as much as you need to. Lift your heart and pull it forward. For your half forward bend, we're going to hold this for 3 breaths. Chest pulling forward, gaze is forward. And then fold all the way forward on your next exhale. Step back with your left foot. Nice, big, long step back. Come into your lunge. Just letting the hips catch up with the rest of us, right? And then drop your left knee down. We're going to bring the arms up and overhead. I want you to tilt the pelvis back, lift the rib cage up, and let your hips move all the way forward. Find a stretch on the front of that left hip. Then I'd like you to lift the chest. Imagine that your rib cage is kind of like a wheel, and you're just trying to roll it back slightly. So kind of like you're trying to get the center of your chest to point up towards the sky. Let the arms open out to the side, palms up. Let the hands come behind the back, interlace the fingers, squeeze shoulder blades together. And then release your hands, bring them down to the mat, either side of your right foot, and extend your right leg. Flex ankle and toes, pull your chest forward. Keep shoulders down the back. And then go ahead and step back to plank position. Hold your plank for a moment. It's always good to have core engaged. We want everything below the heart to support the heart, so you have to have a good foundation. On your next exhale, you can lower down however you like. We're going to come into a low cobra to begin with. So for here, you're going to have your hips all the way down to the ground. Bring your feet together. Pull the shoulders down the back. And I want you to lift up about halfway. So you kind of come to the bottom of the rib cage. Shoulders are down the back. Pull the heart forward. I want you to really feel the squeeze between the shoulder blades. And then go ahead and move into downward facing dog. Step your left foot forward. Hold your lunge. Drop the right knee down. Arms come up and overhead. Pelvis tilts back. We let the hips move forward until we feel this in the front of the right hip. Once you get that sensation, the rib cage lifts and slightly rolls back. Again, it's kind of like you're trying to get the center of your heart to face the ceiling. Arms open out to the side, palms up. Hands behind the back, interlacing fingers, squeezing shoulder blades together. Release the hands, bring them down on either side of your left foot. Fully extend your left leg, flex the ankle and toes, pull the chest forward. And then step forward to your standing forward bend, and I want you to hold it again. Be very mindful of the forward tilt of the pelvis. And then inhale, arms reach all the way up and overhead. Maybe arch back slightly. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, look up halfway. Exhale, back down. We're going to step back with the left foot. You are always welcome to drop the left knee if you need to, but if you're able to hold a high lunge, that's where we're going. We're going to go ahead and come on up. I want you to tilt your pelvis back as much as you can. Raise the arms up and overhead. Let your hips sink. And now we're going to do this kind of cactus arms. So I want you to bend your elbows, squeeze the shoulder blades together, and then start pulling the elbows down and back. Hold that. Maybe roll the rib cage back slightly. And bring hands down either side of the right foot. Gaze forward. Begin to straighten your right leg. Heart pulls forward. And then step back to plank position. Lower down however you like. If you are capable of coming into upward facing dog, let's go there. So you're on the tops of the feet. They are touching. You're going to lift chest and hips and thighs. Legs are straight, slight baby bend in the elbows, pulling the heart forward. And the downward facing dog. From this down dog, we're going to take the left foot forward. Just like on the other side, you are welcome to drop to the right knee if you need to. Otherwise, we're coming up into our high lunge. Arms are overhead, the pelvis is tilting. We're trying to let the hips sink a little bit. Then we're going to bend the elbows, start to squeeze the shoulder blades together. Pull the elbows down and back. Maybe even roll the heart open a little bit. Hands come down either side of the left foot, gaze forward. Begin to straighten your left leg. Step forward to your standing forward bend. Inhale, arms are going to reach all the way up and overhead, maybe arch back. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale and look up halfway. Exhale, back down. So we're gonna step back with the left foot. We're gonna spin the left heel flat. I want you to come up into warrior two. Arms are out to the side, soft gaze over right middle finger. And then I want you to go ahead and interlace your fingers behind your back. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Lift your heart and look up for a moment. Keep shoulder blades squeezed together, keep right knee bent. Fold forward, down the midline, relaxing neck, but reaching the arms up now towards the ceiling. Come all the way back up. Release the arms out to the side. Straighten your right leg. Kick your left hip to the left, lengthen to the right. Find your triangle pose this morning. Then I want you to let your left hip slightly rotate down, like the front of your left hip starts to rotate down a little bit towards the mat. Your left arm and the left side of the rib cage starts to rotate open to the left. So left arm can reach behind you. I'm modifying because of shoulder issue. You're basically trying to open up left side of the heart. Take 2 more breaths. Come all the way back up into your warrior two. Take your hands to the mat. Take a vinyasa. Do it your way, but I want you to really focus on the back extension, which is either cobra or upward facing dog. Take a big step forward with your left foot. Spin the right heel flat. Come up into your warrior two. Interlace the fingers behind the back. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Roll the heart open towards the ceiling. Keep shoulder blades squeezed. Fold forward right down the midline. Relaxing the neck. Reaching the arms towards the ceiling. Come all the way back up. Release the arms out to the side. Straighten your left leg. Hips kick to the right. You're going to lengthen out to the left. Find your triangle pose this morning. Then you're going to let your right hip, the front of the hip, kind of drop down towards the mat. You're going to let the right side of your rib cage, right side of the chest, rotate open towards the ceiling. So that right arm can reach behind you, or if you need to modify, the right hand can be at the waist. Come all the way back up, bending your left knee, warrior two. And then we're going to take the hands to the mat and flow through vinyasa. From this downward facing dog, we're going to drop down to the knees. And we're going to come into heart opening pose. So I want you to keep your thighs vertical. Arms are going to reach out in front of you. Forehead or chest is seeking the mat. You're trying to get this kind of drape and opening on the armpit.
So you're opening up your chest. Coming up from that, hands and knees. Give yourself a little wiggle. Then I'm going to have you go back into downward facing dog. Stretch your hips back. From here, shifting into plank to lower all the way down to the ground. I want you to bring your feet together like we've been doing for cobra and upward facing dog. You're going to keep the tops of the feet on the ground. We're not lifting the feet, at least not yet. From here, we're going to interlace the fingers behind the back and squeeze the shoulder blades together. I want you to keep your hands on your bum. We're going to slide them down underneath the bum, just lifting the chest. Two more breaths. And then lower down. Hands under shoulders, pressing back, downward facing dog. From this down dog, you can either walk or jump forward to a standing forward bend. And I want you to hold it for a moment, being particularly mindful about the tilt of the pelvis. And then inhale, reach the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, palms together in front of the heart. So our balance pose is going to be an odd variation of dancer. You're going to be hanging onto your foot with both hands if you can. You're welcome to use a strap if you need to, but it's nice to be able to actually hang on to the foot or ankle with the hands. So I'm going to have you stand on your right foot first this morning. And here's the deal. You're going to have to do an outside edge grab, right? So your hands basically are in a neutral position. Your palms are facing in, and you're going to reach both arms back. Bend your left knee. You want to try and grab left foot or ankle with both hands. Now, if that's not possible, we'll just do the left side first. You're going to stay upright, keep the chest lifted, and all I want you to do is push the left leg behind you strongly till you feel a really nice stretch in the front of the shoulders. Release, left foot down. We're going to do the same thing on the other side. Stand on your left foot. Reach the arms straight back in a neutral position. Bend your right knee. Get the right foot or ankle, if you can, with both hands. Push the leg behind you strongly to get the chest to open. And release. Roll your shoulders back. Palms together in front of the heart. Big inhale, reach the arms up. Lean back a little if you can. Exhale, fold forward. Paying attention to your standing forward bend as not only a counter pose, but also as a reminder to pay attention to the bottom three energy centers, that bottom triangle, which is your foundation. Look up halfway and lengthen. And then back down. You can either walk or jump back to plank. Flow through your vinyasa. And then go ahead and drop down to the knees. We're going to come up to kneeling. And we're going to work with camel. We're going to go half, half, and then whole. So remember, you're welcome to use your block since you have one today if you need to do that rather than grabbing for a heel, but you can also just keep your hand on your sacrum, and that's where we're going to start. I'm going to have you put your right hand at the sacrum, tuck your tailbone under, push your hips forward, lift your rib cage up. Remember, we've talked about it being like a wheel. Roll it back, and then let the left hand is palm up, reach back. Keep the hips moving forward. Now, this is a perfect place to stay. If you prefer to reach right hand back for right heel, you may do that. Completely optional. All the way back up. Roll your shoulders back. And now we go for the other side. Left hand is at the sacrum. We tuck the tailbone under, push the hips forward, lift the rib cage up. Begin to roll the rib cage back. Right arm reaches up and overhead. You can keep left hand at sacrum, or you may reach back for the left heel. Come on up, pause for a moment, roll your shoulders back. All right, so now we're gonna go for both. Now, it depends on your shoulders, it depends on your back, it depends on so many things. If you need to, both hands can stay at the sacrum. That's absolutely acceptable, all right? Otherwise, if you want to, so you've seen me turn my toes under so that my heels are a little closer, you can do that. If you have a very happy back, you untuck the toes, and you can go all the way back to the heels there. The main thing I'd like you to remember is that you should keep your thighs vertical. You don't want them to go back to help you get to your heels. All right, so here we go. Hands at the sacrum. Tuck that tailbone under, push the hips forward. Lift the rib cage up and start rolling it back. And then you decide if you want to reach for the heels or not. Keep your heart open. Keep your breath moving. And come on back up. This time allowing back side to heels, forehead to the mat if you can, and hands all the way back by the feet, palms up. So a traditional rounded back balasana or child's pose to counteract all that back bending. Take a few breaths and breathe really deeply into your low back. And then from here, we're going to move into plank and take our last vinyasa for this morning's practice. After you've had a moment to really lengthen your spine in your downward facing dog, you can either walk or jump forward, have a seat, and come into Dandasana. So really pause for a moment with a nice straight spine and very active legs. And just check in with how you're feeling so far. Heart openers can either be incredibly joyful, or they can be a little unnerving, maybe even a little scary because emotions will come up. But I promise you that either of those effects are a good thing. So roll with whatever you're feeling right now. Notice your body, notice your thoughts, notice your emotions, notice your energy. And then just bring your hands behind you. And it can be a fair amount. They don't have to be right by your backside. You're gonna lift your chest up and just push it forward. And if it's all right with your neck, look up at the ceiling. So a nice
gentle upper back bend. And then just come on up from that and come into the seated forward bend of your choice, meaning if you need to keep your spine neutral, lengthen forward. If you'd like a little more spinal stretch, round the back. Take a few breaths here. And then come on up from that. So take your legs into a nice wide V. Make sure that you are on your sit bones. So a couple of options here, because we're actually going to be doing this inner thigh stretch as a heart opener. All right, if you have tight hips and you normally have your hands behind your back, that's fine. I just want you to bring them right up against your hips and squeeze the shoulder blades together as you push forward. If you can stay on your sit bones without having your hands behind you, then you're going to interlace your fingers behind your back and squeeze the shoulder blades together. So choose which is best for you. Keep the legs very active. Push your heart forward. Come on back up, release the arms, roll your shoulders back, bring your legs together, give them a wiggle. And then we're gonna recline over the blocks. So, working on the upper part of the back first. I'm gonna have you use your block. You guys have reclined with me before. Just a quick reminder, knees must stay bent, yeah? This must not go in the low back. Those are my two absolute non-negotiable requirements. All right, so you're gonna have your block. If you can do mid-level, you're gonna have your block running up the length of your spine. The bottom edge starts at the bottom of the rib cage. So it'll be up between your shoulder blades. Now, if that doesn't work for you, you are welcome to go flat level. It'll feel a little different. So place your block in at the bottom of the rib cage, keep the knees bent and start to recline back. If you have neck issues, you have a couple of options. You can put another block under your head. If you don't have another block, you can interlace your fingers behind your neck as you start to recline back and keep the neck supported. If your neck is okay with it, you're going to let the head drop back and the arms will open out to the side. So if you have your hands behind your neck, still let the elbows open out. But either way, what you should feel is your rib cage is opening side to side, right? So you're getting this space right down the midline of your chest. I'd like you to take 6 very slow, deep breaths. Now, as we finish our 6th breath, it is so important that you not sit up. Please stay on your block and just roll off to the right if you can. If you need to roll to the left, that's fine. Then press yourself up to sitting. Knees are bent. We're going for round 2, but this time we're going to reposition the block so that instead of it being parallel to the long sides of the mat, it's parallel to the short sides of the mat. The placement is the same. You want the bottom edge of the block at the bottom of your rib cage. It could be slightly higher, but not a lot. So the idea is now we're opening the rib cage from bottom to top. Same thing applies with neck issues. Block under the head, hands behind the neck, arms opening it out, or allow the head to drop back, arms out to the side, palms up, and you can find whatever angle works best for you. Same amount of breaths here, please. 6 slow, deep breaths. Same thing as you're finishing out your 6th breath. Do not sit straight up. You'll undo everything you just did. So go ahead and roll off to one side, plunk off of your block. This time you're just gonna kind of move it out of the way, roll onto your back, pause for a moment with your knees bent, feet flat. We're not gonna undo ourselves yet. Just breathe, let the upper back sink into the floor for a moment. And then we're going to be moving into supported bridge. So use your block, and we're going to do this together in increments. So no speeding to the finish line, right? Because there is no finish line in yoga. So we're all going to start low level. Lift your hips up, put the block underneath your sacrum. That's the back side of your pelvis. Big toes touch, heels separate. Take a moment here and notice the placement and notice your spine. It should be neutral. This is what we're shooting for. Make a note of how this feels. Then, if you feel like you can, and you only do this if it feels appropriate for you, you lift your hips and you flip to the mid-level. You make sure your pelvis is still supported in the same fashion and that your back still feels neutral. You hang here for a few breaths. Now, if you're going to be staying here or even at the lower level, I want you to think about the center of your chest moving towards your head. It's a lift of the rib cage. If you're not going to stay here, keep the rib cage neutral if you feel like you can. Only if, don't go farther than you should. Then we're going to lift the hips and move to the highest level. Pelvis should still be completely supported. Big toes are still touching and heels are separated. If you're in this position, chances are your rib cage naturally lifted to accommodate you. If it didn't, sternum towards chin. Now we're in for 6 slow breaths. On your next inhale, lift the hips up. As you exhale, lower your back all the way to the ground. You've removed your block. Just set it off to the side. Finally, you may hug your knees in and rock side to side, just gently easing into this nice knees to chest position. You might even consider keeping the knees together and making circles with them to kind of massage out the low back. It's a pretty yummy thing to do after some intense back bends. And then we'll go ahead and reach over, grab the block. I want you to put it between your knees at the skinniest level. And then drop both knees all the way over to the right. And then I want you to hold your knees down with your right hand. Open your left arm out to the left and let your gaze turn to the left. And see if you can align your knees enough. And some of you are so flexible it won't matter. But see if you can align your knees enough that you get a little bit of a stretch on the left side of the chest. That means your left shoulder blade has to be slightly off the ground or it has nowhere to go. So if you can get to that point, fantastic. And if you're so pliable that everything is on the ground, that's wonderful. You should be very proud of yourself for that. And you just breathe. On your next inhale, you're going to bring both knees up. As you exhale, you're going to drop them all the way over to the left. Hold your knees down with your left hand. Right arm opens back out to the right. Head turns to the right. So same thing here. Even if the arm is on the ground, see if you can get the shoulder blade up a little bit. Maybe by moving your right knee more to the left, right? So that your pelvis is slightly more rotated. See if you can get a little bit of a right side chest stretch here. On your next inhale, you're going to come back up. Take your block out from between your knees. Hug your knees in. Rock side to side for a moment. And the final thing we're going to do with the block is use it to help us contract deeper transversus abdominals so that we can finish releasing the lower back. I'd like you to take your block at middle width and put it between your thighs as close to your pubic bone as you can get it. And then extend your legs straight up into the air and flex your feet. Squeeze your block, interlace your fingers behind your neck, point the elbows at the ceiling so your neck is cradled. Take a deep breath in, hold your breath, flatten the back, squeeze the block, exhale, crunch, elbows towards thighs. Squeeze your block, empty your lungs. Inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, exhale, crunch up. Squeezing block, reaching feet for ceiling, breathing all the air out. Inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, exhale, crunch up while you're squeezing on your block. Inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, exhale, crunch. Don't forget to squeeze the block. It's so important. Completely breathe all the air out. We're just going to do 2 more. Inhale down. Hold the breath, flatten the back, exhale, crunch. Last one. Squeeze your block, empty the lungs. And release. Remove your block, put it off to the side. You're done with it? Hug your knees in. Rock side to side. And then go ahead and place the feet flat on the mat. Knees are bent. Ankles and knees are together. You're gonna let both knees drop to one side as you exhale, bring them back up as you inhale, drop them the opposite direction as you exhale. This can be a small movement or a full-on twist or anything in between. Just keep it breath centered. Do a couple more on each side. Next time that the knees come up to the center, allow them to drop open, soles of the feet together. Just pause for a moment, rest here. Notice how your body's feeling. Slide your arms along the floor until they are over your head, touching the floor, interlacing fingers, but extending the index fingers. On your next inhale, I want you to reach completely through the index fingertips and press the knees towards the floor. You're going to feel your rib cage lift a little bit. It's your final baby back bend. Breathe. On your next exhale, relax your body, unlace your fingers. Bring your arms down below the height of the shoulders, palms up, just like you would for Shavasana. And now let's lengthen the low back. So as you inhale, press your low back into the floor, pelvic tilt. On your next exhale, release that. One more time. Inhale and just flatten the back by doing a posterior tilt of the pelvis. The next time you exhale, you're going to release. Extend your legs. Separate your feet, whatever distance feels good today. Wiggle the legs in and out and then let them flop. Make sure your glutes are soft. Lengthen the low back. Create space between the shoulders. Create space between the ears and shoulders. Lengthen the neck. Soften your jaw. Close your eyes. Smooth out your forehead. Take a deep breath in. Exhale with a really big sigh. Just releasing everything. Feel how your breath starts to settle down. Feel that sweet, familiar release that comes at the end of your physical practice. Feel into the center of your chest. Feel how at the end of every inhale, the heart expands. So we do these heart opening practices to help facilitate the release of any grief or heartfelt emotion that needs to go. And also to welcome in the joy and gratitude that are our natural states. So with every inhale, I want you to feel how the heart space actually expands, and I want you to know that that expansion is expanding in love, expanding in joy, expanding in gratitude. And as you exhale, I want you to release any of the emotions that are not conducive to your highest state. So maybe you're releasing the emotion of grief, or maybe you're releasing the emotion of disappointment, or maybe you're releasing the emotion of frustration, whatever it might be. You let it go with every exhale, and you feel that contraction of the rib cage as it's released. And then as you inhale, you feel the expansion, and then the expansion around the heart as you expand your capacity for love and joy. We do these practices regularly because just like so much of our lives, you're never there and then stay there. It's not like you take a bath and you're clean and you never take another bath. It's the same with our energy, with our heart space. It's not like we open the heart and cleanse it and then we're good. Life happens, right? And so we have to do these regular clearings, these regular cleansings of the energy. Releasing the things that don't serve us, welcoming in the things that do. Just begin to feel into the rest of your body. Begin to deepen your breath a little bit. Begin to move the fingers and toes a little bit. As you're ready, take that deeper breath in. Spread your fingers and toes. Exhale through the mouth, relax them. Deeper breath in, stretch through arms and legs. Exhale and relax them. Bend the knees. You may hug them in or just bring your feet to the floor. Roll to your right side and pause there. And then as you're ready, just press yourself up into sitting. So you're going to find that same nice, straight, aligned spine. And this morning, if it feels appropriate to you, let your hands be palms up on your knees or thighs, perhaps coming into Gyan Mudra, Yogi Mudra, which is to touch the tip of the index finger to the tip of the thumb. Just a quick aside about that. The index finger represents the individual, that's you. The thumb represents divine source, God, whatever you call your higher creative power. It basically symbolizes that our wisdom comes from a greater, higher power, right? So our wisdom comes from the divine.
And when the palms are open, it means we're open to receive. So Yogi Mudra, Dhyan Mudra, is a joining, it's yoga, union of ourselves with the divine, knowing that our wisdom comes from there and that we are open to receive it. So this is the seeking of wisdom mudra, which is why you so frequently see yogis sitting with this hand position. Just let the arms and hands relax once you get index finger and thumb touching. We're going to be doing Aham Graha, which is effortless breath. No control of the breath. Let it be completely natural. And as you're breathing, just notice on your inhales that you can feel the breath coming up through the nostrils towards the third eye point. Every inhale, you feel your breath coming up the nostrils and moving up towards the point between the eyebrows. And then notice that as you're breathing in and the breath is moving up towards the third eye point, towards the end of the inhale, you actually feel the space around your heart expanding. You don't have to control the breath or do anything, it's effortless, but you can be aware of these things, this breath moving up the nostrils towards the third eye point, and the expansion of the heart space. And then add to those two sensations just a generalized awareness of the crown of your head. So when you breathe in, you feel the air moving towards the third eye point. You feel the expansion around the heart space, and you're aware of the top of your head. Slowly, slowly bring your palms together in front of your heart. Take a moment of gratitude for love. Like the bigger love, not just romantic love, but love with a capital L, big, big love. We're basically swimming in it. We are it. We're born into it. We return to it when we die. We live in it if we just open to it. Take one more deep breath in through the nose. Happy exhale through the mouth. Palms to the forehead, just reminding us to stay present. Palms to the lips, reminding us to speak our truth. Palms to the heart, reminding us to keep our hearts open. Always come from a place of kindness, compassion, and of course, love. Thank you for joining me this morning. Namaste.